Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner again with Outdoor Dog Supply for the 2025 year. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. The guys are not just a business, they're houndsmen and women too. They test their products out in the field, put them to the test, get the latest in garment equipment, and they stay locked and loaded and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply for their support not only for the podcast, but in field trials across the country. When you're looking for your next purchase in equipment, make sure you keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now, let's get this episode going, guys. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. On this episode, we're going to start off with, like we've been doing for this year, we're going to start off with our motivational quote and our scripture for the week. The quote for this week is going to be, "Keep your face always towards the sunshine, and your shadows will fall behind you," by Walt Whitman. And then our verse of the week will be from Joshua 1:9. "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." So that is our little motivation before we get really into the episode this week, guys. It's been a super busy week. I'm sure if anybody's friends with me on Facebook, you've probably seen it was my anniversary weekend. So the end of the year is a busy time of the year for me, guys. I know it's a busy time for everybody, but I have a lot of things that hit really, really quick and kind of distract me a little bit from some of my some other things. And when I get behind the 8 ball, it kind of makes things a little difficult on catching up. So I'm going to be riding solo again tonight. I do have plans for one that's going to be really cool. I'm hoping to maybe get that recorded in the next week or so. And then we're going to got some other guests I'm trying to get lined up, trying to make a few things happen, guys, before the end of the season. We don't have much longer left, y'all. Hunting season's coming around. I know bow season started here in Virginia. Looks like everybody down in South Carolina is running really well. I know North Carolina, I think, starts up here in just, I think, next week, if I'm not mistaken. I think opening week for the, maybe even for the dogs. I'm not sure if it's for the dogs or not down in Carolina, but excuse me, there is an opening week next week. I know a lot of the Carolina boys are looking forward to. So, killing season's coming, baby. Killing season. Ready to get this started. Y'all, excuse me, we ran the fox pen a little bit last night. Great running. It was a little warmer than what we were hoping for, but it was great running. I know we ran at the beginning of the night. We were running in about 3 or 4 different packs, and then by the end of the night, it ended up getting to. I'd say we ended up down to about one big pack. We'd split up and get to 2 packs every now and then, but right there at the end of the night, we were running one big group. So definitely great running, guys. Sure, if you follow me on TikTok, you've seen the videos and maybe even on the Facebook page some as well. We got some puppies. They are growing like weeds, guys. Growing like weeds. They are out of my razor dog, and then my heartbreaker Jip, my brood Jip. She we got six of those in that cross, and then I got 4 of my saber dog, and my Betty Lou dog. We did some in-house breeding this time. Took some gambles. It was a really busy time, and I should have probably reached out of the house, out of the lots, and bred at least one of those Jips to something outside, but time management was poor. I think they come in heat right during the middle of the series, getting into that hot streak, if I remember right. So it was really difficult for me to get away, so I just decided to say, you know what, let's take a gamble. Let's go in-house and see what happens. So, but they are growing strong, man. It's I'll kind of roll this into what I want to talk about today. And I wanted to get into culling. For maybe some of our, more inexperienced listeners, or new to the sport, new to dogs, maybe getting into it. Culling is removing the weak links from your kennels. We're taking dogs that are bringing you down and moving them to somewhere else. I'll get into a lot of ways to do it, why we do it, how we do it, and kind of the ins and outs of culling and why it makes sense. But these puppies, man, I was kind of laughing. We got both groups, and I'm very, very excited for both groups, but I think at a very young age, you can really put an eye on a group of dogs, on a pack, and say, all right, that pack right there has got potential. It's their attitude, it's their demeanor, it's the way they carry themselves. The Razor and Heartbreaker pack, I say pack, the litter. They're 5 weeks old. They were born on August 27th. So we're looking at 5, getting close to 6 weeks old now. They are all over the place in the lots. They are bouncing all over the top of each other, chewing on the wire already, doing the aggravating stuff that puppies are doing. They're fighting with each other, playful fighting, puppy fighting. But they're very, very active. They're very, very energetic. And it's like, oh, man, these dogs are going to have that attitude. That's the attitude that I like to see out of dogs at 6 weeks old. Now, I know it's really, really hard to say, okay, these dogs are going to be something or not going to be something at 6 weeks old. But there are signs that you can pay attention to at that young of an age. While the Sabre and Betty Lou Cross, they are not quite as energetic. Now, they are a little bit younger. They are about a week and a half younger. They were born on September 7th. So today, as I'm recording, they just turned a month old. So we are right at 4 weeks old, 31 days compared to the almost 6 weeks old now. So they still got some time to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be that energetic. But I know that Heartbreaker Razor Cross is looking pretty nice as far as their demeanor goes. Something I'm going to experiment with this time, and I think this is something that I've noticed that a lot of your bigger kennels will be doing. There are times that, of course, you can tell at a young age, maybe they're a little small, maybe they're a little more not as confident, that it's time to move dogs on at that 6 to 8 week range. After they got their first round of shots, after they're weaned off the mama, all that kind of good stuff. When they get to that point, then you can see maybe you got 1 or 2 in that litter, and you're like, oh man, this dog's okay, but maybe it'll make something, but I can already tell at that young age that that's not going to be the dog for me. That's not going to be the one that I can look at and say, yep, you have a 110% chance that you could make me a champion. You could go and win hunts for me. I think you can tell if a dog's going to be bad at that age. And not necessarily bad. I would say bad would be a loose term. Kai, seriously, dog. If y'all are watching on the video, I hope y'all are getting a trip out of him poking his head through my arms, trying to get rubs. But but anyway, the pups, I'm not going to say bad. I think bad is a bad term. I wouldn't use bad. I would say not going to be as good as the rest. They're not going to be as good as their litter mates. And sometimes that flips the script. Sometimes the dog that sits around and mopes around turns out to be the most focused dog that you have. That's a gamble you got to take with puppies. But this litter, these 2 litters, I'm going to wait till they're about 3 months old before I start moving any dogs. I'm going to let them grow. I'm going to let them get bigger. I want to watch them move. I want to watch their movements. That's one of the biggest things I want to see. I want to see how they move as they get their legs under them, as they start getting bigger, as they're progressing. I want to see how all that unfolds, and that's how I'm going to watch. And I think that's how a lot of these guys are moving these dogs. They're waiting until they get a little bit older to watch those movements. Now, I'm probably saying all this on the podcast, and then you're going to see pups for sale and be like, well, we know that dog sucks. I'm not going to try to get an arm and leg for him either, guys. But, you know, I think that's kind of the route I'm going to take this time before I start moving them at a young age. I think that's how I'm going to progress these dogs and make these dogs do the most for me and be the most beneficial. So, like I said before I got into that little spill, culling. There's a lot of reasons that we cull. Cull, however you want to say it, whatever, C-U-L-L, culling. It's moving on from dogs. Why do we cull? We're going to start there. The old phrase, iron sharpens iron, comes to mind. Iron sharpens iron, but if you keep beating against a blunt object, you're going to make the sharp object blunt. I'm sure there's a fancy phrase for it, and there's a way to say it that makes it sound a lot better than what I just gave you. But anyway, keeping a bad dog around that won't progress, it has a potential to bring your good dogs down. It's very important as a kennel, as a team, as a group, that you have to cull. You have to move on from dogs. The thing you have to... There's a couple things to think about as you're getting to this point. What do we want of our hounds? That has to be a personal choice. That has to be something that you decide... Sorry, I'm going to try to do it that way. I didn't like how that light was shining on me in the video, guys. Excuse me for that. You have to decide as a owner, as a houndsman, as a deer dog guy, as a competition hunter, what do you want out of your dogs? Do you want dogs that are just going to pack? Do you want one or two good dogs and to have two or three good dogs that are just pack dogs? Do you want something that is you're going to go to a hunt, you're going to enjoy just being there, you're going to say, hey, maybe I'll sneak into the top 10, that'll make the weekend even greater? Or are you trying to go one day hunt and you need a dog that's going to blow it away in the first day, give you everything it freaking has in the first day, and then go home? Or are you going to go 3-day? You know, there's a lot of choices that you got to make. You got to figure out what you want as a houndsman. That will decide a lot of different factors. How far do we let these dogs grow and advance before we move them? You know, as a deer dog, so for example, I have deer hounds that are, let's say they just turned 2 years old a month or two ago, and still not anything I'm super proud of, still not anything that I'm like, yep, those are the ones right there, those are going to be the ones, still not a thing I can drop the tailgate and they're going to go and jump something and run something until it goes to the barrel. I'm not there with them yet, but I have not given up on them yet either. At 2 years old, to some of y'all probably like, man, what are you doing? Why are you waiting so long on these dogs? They're showing me potential. I have not given them every opportunity that I can. I stay more focused on my field trial dogs based on the amount of time that I have to run dogs. I know it is more important for me personally, to make sure that the competition dogs, the fox dogs, the pen dogs, whatever you want to call them, that they are in shape, that they're running, that I have primary time to focus on them. If I have extra weekends, if I have a weekend that I'm not doing a whole lot, then the deer dogs get ran. But, the outside dogs get ran, however you want to word that. The Hounds Tales podcast would like to take a minute and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. When pleasure running at night or judging those nighttime field trials, put your trust in Cajun Lights. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for the nighttime feeds, and the top-level Cajun Blinder for those hardcore crossings. The Cajun Lights are headlamp-style lights that free up your hands for voice recorders or your GPS. They offer flood-style lights in red, amber, and white walking lights. Then the top-of-the-line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try on the red and amber setting to catch the game with the easy flick of a switch and go right back to your main beam light and see your hounds in action. Visit our website today at CajunLights.com and check out and make sure you fill out the survey and select Hounds Tales Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase from Cajun Lights. Now let's get back to the episode, guys. But with that also being said, that reasoning is why I wait a little longer on those dogs. Now they get to the end of this season and they're not to my level, they're not to my expectation, they're showing me they're not even freaking close, then I probably will move on from them. I probably will say, hey, it was a valiant effort, it was a good shot, and I didn't do everything that I needed to do for these dogs. They might make a great pack for somebody. They may be somebody's best dogs, and we'll get into that here in a little bit too. But, I would move on from them if by the end of the season I can't have a little bit of confidence and say, hey, it may not be 100%, but 75% of the time when I turn the dogs loose, they're going to go out there and they're going to jump a piece of game, and we're going to get a deer killed in front of them. That's an expectation. That's a standard. That's a level of expectancy that I put on my deer dogs. But that also comes with a lot of patience. I was very blessed with my first pack of my own deer dogs, and at 9-10 months old, they were having deer killed in front of them by the end of the first season that they were in. So it's weird for me to have to be patient for dogs to take this long to get to where I would expect them to be. Excuse me. Now, your foxhound, your competition dogs, that's a completely different story. You got to look at the not life expectancy, the competition, the prime time expectancy between your outside dogs, your deer dogs, and your competition dogs. I would say a good 80% of your competition, your field trial, your fox pen, coyote pen, your pen dogs, are looking at a peak expectancy of somewhere in the 1-year-old range to a max of 3-4. Some dogs are great. Some dogs will carry on and they'll still be 4 or 5 years old and still be clicking away just as good as they were at 2 years old, But if they're not primed, if they're not where you want them to be by 1.5, 2 years old, then you need to start thinking about what you're going to be doing with these dogs. You need to be considering options of what to do. And that goes towards that end goal. That goes towards that, am I trying to keep numbers up? Are we trying to just feed dogs that say, hey, I've got 2 good dogs out of the 8 that I own, out of the 15 that I own, I got 2, maybe 3 good dogs. The rest of them are just outside. They're dogs that probably have a chance to sneak into the top 10, more like top 20. And they're there to keep the confidence behind the dogs that are the best dogs that you have. For example, right now I've got 2 dogs that are my good dogs right now. They're two dogs that are, yep, I can take them and I feel like they could go and compete. Then I have six others that are behind them trying to earn that spot. I have one dog that will be 3 in December. He's a great dog. He goes to the pleasure running, and the nights that we really watch them, and we got jackets on him, we're keeping scores almost every time. He's in the top 2, top 3. He's always putting it there. But when you go to the fox pen, I don't know if he's just cursed. I don't know if he's got bad luck, but he seems he can't break into that top 10. I don't know what the deal is. He's a beautiful hound, a great dog, and will probably make somebody a great hound. I'm not done with him yet, but I've got one more shot this year with him to get him into the top 10. And if I don't, to me, that's his time. He's been around long enough for me that I've given him the opportunity. I've given him all the chances that I can personally give him. Then at that point, does he stick around? Does he make the cut to go to the next year and say, okay, give me one more chance, give me one more half year? You know, there'll be 3, like I said, there'll be 3 in December. So that's where I have to make that choice of how long do I wait on that old of a dog. Now, I have other dogs. I have some Januaries. They won't be 2 and 2 until January. And I have some that won't be 2 until April. I have one of the Aprils for sale right now. She's up and posted. She's an excellent dog. She has times where she is a fast dog, and that's for a white dog too now. But she's not, when we are running, she is not as good as everything else that we're running. So, and I'll get into that a little bit too here in just a few minutes probably. So to me, it's okay. You know, you're April. You've had X amount of time to say, all right, let's get it. Let's get after it. I can run with these dogs. I don't see nothing in either pen that we're running, in either style running, in heads up coyote running or foxhound, got to keep a track, that you are better than other dogs that I'm running. So to me, it was time to move on. It's time to say, okay, she's still young enough at, let's see, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So 6 plus 12, that's 18 months. At 18 months old, she is still young enough to say, okay, I've seen what you can do. You have a lot of freaking potential. This little gyp has a lot of potential, guys. A ton of potential. And I know that's weird sounding, and I will talk about that shortly. But she could make somebody a really nice dog. But I am holding her back in our kennels, that she's getting outran, she's getting outconfidence, and she deserves better going to somebody else. My end goal personally is I want to have anywhere from 3 to 5 dogs that I can say, yep, I can go to this hunt I got a good feeling about them. They're going to go. It's a good chance that they're going to. It's a good chance that they're going to place. I feel confident that I'm going to these things, and I'm still getting in. I was just talking to my buddy Justin Cochran, or Cochran. I never remember how to say your last name, and I do apologize for that. So don't shoot me. I was talking to him, and that's when we were talking about is like, what do you want out of your dogs? And I don't want to go with 5, 6, 7 dogs, and I know I have one shot. I got one barrel. The rest of them are, I'm just throwing darts, and hoping to hit the board. It's a growing pain. It takes time. Just getting into the competition side, it takes a long time to find those dogs. I was very fortunate last year to have one make a field champion. It still blows my mind that we've made one this fast. But since then, I've been just on the outside. We've placed at another hunt. We're getting there. We've made some noise, but I want to get to that point where when I roll up to a hunt, I'm like, they look at me and they're like, "Oh crap, he's bringing them dogs again." And I know there's a lot of work behind that. I know it's a lot of movement, but I think this culling process is part of that. So next on the talking point is, how do we cull? Culling to me is an art form. And what I mean by that, there's a balance to finding how you cull, when you cull, the way you cull. Giving up on a dog too early can come back and bite you in the tail. There's a lot of guys that will say, there's a lot of guys that will cull a dog and then a month later that dog goes out and wins a hunt. Now, who's at fault on that? Nobody. Honestly, that's part of the beauty of culling. And that's what I mean earlier when I said this little gyp has a lot of potential. This little gyp has the potential to go to somebody else's kennel and be a top 3 dog, to be a top 2 dog, that when she goes over to somebody's kennel, she's running for the lead. She's not just following behind these other dogs and getting her confidence level down. She's not going to these hunts and saying, "Oh crap, all I'm here, I can't keep up." She's going and pleasure running with somebody else's dogs. And I'm not trying to act like I have the best dogs in the world. I'm not trying to act like, please don't get that misconstrued, I'm not trying to act like my dogs are better than other people's. But maybe you're listening, maybe you see this dog and you're like, man, that dog could be better than mine. That dog could come over here and run with my best dog. There is that opportunity. And if a dog sucks, I'm going to tell you the dog sucks. I got one right now that I'm going to take a couple of times during hunting season, and if that dog don't do anything and leave the truck, then somebody's going to get a house pet. But a new environment. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick second and pause this episode, talk about our partners over at Elite Nutrition. Our Hounds guys, they're athletes. They give us their all each and every time they're cast. Elite Nutrition offers all natural products to give your dogs the natural benefits that they deserve. From the Canine Remove and all natural wormer to the ElectroBoost paste for electrolyte replenishment, body fluid balance, and blood flow improvement. They also have products like Active Dog Powder for recovery and joint and muscle support, Essential Dog Powder for daily vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and enzymes, the Canine Lactate Powder for nursing dogs to help with milk supply. There are tons of other products to check out at CajunLights.com, and then click on the Elite Nutrition section to explore. When you get to checkout, and only at CajunLights.com, use the code HTElite10 to receive 10% off your Elite Nutrition products. Again, that's HT Hounds Tails Elite 10. So HT10 Elite 10, in the discount code section to receive 10% off of all your Elite Nutrition products only via CajunLights.com. I've been using their products, guys, for several months now. Cannot be happy with the results. That's pretty much all I run my dogs off of. So thank you, Elite Nutrition, for joining up with the Hounds Tales podcast and taking a step forward into this field trial world. Now let's get back to the results. For a dog, can be beneficial for not only the person culling, it could be beneficial for the dog, and it could be beneficial for the recipient of the dog. Just because, and I'm not saying this is all the time, I'm not saying you need to go on Facebook or on whatever and look and see, oh man, that dog's for sale, I'm just going to buy it. Or, oh man, that dog's for sale, I need to give that dog a try. And waste $500, $300, whatever the case may be, on buying a dog from somebody. There are reasons that people cull dogs. If a dog is bad, I'm going to be honest, me personally. Not everybody's going to be like that. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. Anyway, there is a lot of potential to culling a dog for everybody. Right now, that white Gyp, she is getting beat, but she has potential. So if I move her now, she's still young enough to, if somebody did want to take her and put her on the outside, you can take her and put her on the outside and very potentially learn the outside very well and become a great deer dog or become a great outside foxhound. She's got a great nose. She's got a great move to her. She very well could be whatever you wanted. She's young enough to do that. And that's part of that balance, is not waiting too long. You get to too old of a dog, they're going to be set. They're going to learn a trait. They're going to learn certain habits. They're going to get dialed in on those habits, and that's going to be it. There won't be no changing. If you can change them, it will be very hard to change. So like the older dog that I was talking about earlier, he's never been on the outside. He's not going to be able to just flip that switch and go to the outside and be able to be a great outside dog for somebody. I'm going to have to find somebody that needs a dog that could upgrade their kennels. But whoever gets it now, I can't wait but so much longer. You get to be in the 4 or 5 year old range and just a fox pen dog. Nobody's going to want a male that is 4 or 5 years old. So you got to be strategic about your movements of your culls, about your timing. Now, somebody could take this dog at 4 or 5 and could be a great training dog for somebody. It could be, maybe they run it a couple times and it is the fastest thing they have or the best dog that they have. And they say, well, I have a great stud dog now. I'm going to use this dog and I'm going to breed this dog. There's a lot of reasons you receive on the cull end. It could benefit everybody. So there's culling too soon and culling too late. I don't want to wait too late on this Gyp because I don't want somebody to miss an opportunity to make this dog better. I'm culling at the 18-month-old range because she still has the potential to be better for herself and potentially be a great dog for somebody's kennel. Something else that I see a lot is, especially when you start breeding in-house, you get complacent, you get content, you get to the point of, well, they're off of this dog, and I keep seeing these little glimpses. I keep seeing this. I keep seeing this. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Excuses will get you absolutely nowhere in life, and it will get you nowhere in this sport. It will get you nowhere with dogs. If every time you go out, 90% of the run, the dog is goofing off, it's doing something. It's, you're out in the deer woods, and it's running the roads, and it's hanging in the back of the pack. It's not doing you any good. It's not barking, whatever. And then the other 10%, it's like, oh man, that dog's on fire. You can't focus on that 10%. You need to be focusing on what that dog does the entire time. And if the bad is outweighing the good, don't be content with the 10%. Don't look at a dog and say, well, I don't have that Jip anymore. That's the mama to this dog. So I don't want to give up on it. And the next thing you know, the dog's 3 years old, and you got a mediocre dog that you've wasted 3 years of time where you could have taken that time and improved a different dog. Could have done different. Had a different dog. You could have changed a lot of things, but you wasted a lot of time on a dog that you became content with. This sport, this game, this hobby, this practice, whatever you want to call this, dog hunting in general, across the board. I don't care if you're talking deer dog hunting. I don't care if you're talking competition dogs. You have to put a little bit of feeling aside. You have to remember that these dogs are serving a purpose. These dogs are part of your family, yes. But think about it like this. If you are a parent, you will understand. If you want to be a parent, if you have any idea about kids or grandkids, you're in a small town, okay? And your kid is a dreamer. Maybe he's got an arm like Brett Favre. Maybe he's got the move of Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he's the next Josh Allen. Maybe he's a heck of a race car driver, and he could be the next Jeff Gordon, next Dale Earnhardt, whatever. Are you going to make him content? Are you going to be content with something that has the potential to go somewhere else and be all he can be? With your kid, with your grandkid, with yourself. And say, nope, I'm going to stay in Podunk Town where if I make six figures, I got lucky and landed in the one place within 100 square miles that pays that good. But, man, I could sure throw the pigskin back in the day. Man, I could sure do this. Man, I had so much potential. Are you going to be content, or are you going to tell your son, you're going to tell your grandson, you're going to tell yourself, you need to go, you need to get out, you need to go try to do this. You need to give yourself, you need to give your kid the best opportunity to make the best of himself, even if that means letting go. That's how I view culling a dog, is don't become so content with yourself. Don't make the dog content with being a mediocre dog that you hold him back on potentially being something better for somebody else and better for himself or herself. That's kind of where I look at it as a whole, is moving dogs only improves the situation most of the time for everybody. You know, maybe you got a new car owner that's looking for the best driver out there, and your son walks up and he says, hey, would you give me a chance? And the car owner says yes. Yep, come drive for me, and next thing you know, they're pulling a Dale Earnhardt with his first ride and taking the number 2 car out there and winning the freaking championship with it. You know, the dog's the same way with a different owner. Maybe there is that owner out there listening that's, I need something a little bit better. My dogs are okay, but they don't have that go. They don't have that drive. I need to spend a little money. I need to invest into something. I need to invest time and money into a dog that's going to improve the situation. The Hounds podcast is happy to announce our newest partnership with Low 10 Outfitters. If your kennel is looking for new apparel to rock to the next field trial or the upcoming hunting season, look no further than Low 10 Outfitters. They offer shirts, hats, hoodies, coats, and other accessories with custom logos for your kennel or your hound's name to go on. With top quality merchandise and long-lasting quality, you can't go wrong with Low 10 Outfitters. Now we are offering Houndstales Podcast apparel on their website at low10outfitters.com. Be on the lookout, guys. It's there. Go purchase it. We're live, guys. Go in, go purchase it. Low10outfitters.com. Click on the Houndstales section for your Houndstales apparel and the Houndstales Pin Series apparel. So thank you so much for Low 10 Outfitters for teaming up with the Houndstales Podcast. Now, let's get you back to the rest of your episode. Do you hold them back, or do you say, go be all you can be? Do you give them to the new owner? Do you let the new team have a chance to build themselves, have a chance to say, okay, I see this dog is better. Now you've set the standard for their dogs and say, okay, now this new guy can look at it and say, okay, here's where James is at. This is a dog that he culled. His cull is one of the best dogs that I own now. Now I know I need to set my bar higher. I need to find something else. I need to breed to something. I need to find something better that knocks this dog down and gets better than this dog. When I know I'm better than this dog, now I know I'm catching back up. You know, there's a place for all these dogs. There's place to move. There's time to move. And I'm not saying all this just because I have a dog I'm trying to move. Please don't get that wrong. And I'm just using my situation as an example. Improving from culling is a big thing. Advance your kennels. Pick a couple dogs that say, hey, these are my top 3, these are my top 4, and these are my top 1. Whatever you're comfortable with keeping, whatever you're comfortable from moving on. Make room for dogs to come in and be better. You don't need to be in a kennel that has 30 dogs and only 4 of them are worth a crap. What are you doing with the other 26 dogs? Move on. Move on from it. Guys, if the biggest takeaway from this is choose what you want to do. If you choose your timing, if you're okay being patient, understanding. But every dog that you keep that you're not okay with, every dog that you keep that says, man, I just don't know about this dog. Every dog that you're sitting there at the lots and you're saying, don't know. Every one that you do like that is a missed opportunity for yourself to be better and be what you truly want to be as a houndsman. That's part of being a houndsman. Don't forget, these are just dogs. I know they're not just dogs, but they are dogs, okay? Improve yourself, improve them, make things better this way. Culling is a art form. Culling is a reason. There's a reason behind culling. There's a chance for culling to improve everybody's situation. So I hope all that made sense, guys. I'd love to hear some feedback on this. I love when guys message me and let's talk dogs. I'm a little busy, you know, the work I'm in right now keeps me a little busy, and it's harder for me to conversate hardcore, but I definitely try to keep on the up and up and talk with you. I try to reach out and have those conversations. So feel free to reach out, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. I want to get into the spotlight presented by Cajun Lights. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll finish this episode up, guys. It's now time for the spotlight presented by Cajun Lights. This is where each week we will recognize winners and other accomplishments across the field trial world. Now let's shine a lights on these guys and these dogs, and let's get to this week's winners. Alrighty, start with the PD. was this weekend. We're going to start with the best mouth, and that dog's name was Doug's Tux out of SNA Tommy and Ray's Trixie from Highball Kennels. The classiest hound was a dog named Champion Hoss's Shoefly J out of Champion Hoss's King Ramses B and Doc's Wood Fly Tiny from All In Kennels. The combination winner was Richardson's Chanel, or Channel, I guess that would be Chanel, out of Kane's Foobar and CP's Carolina from Broke Neck Kennels. I tell you what, them Kane's Foobars keep showing up. I've been noticing that name hitting more and more here lately. I think that's going to be one y'all need to watch out for. That Foobar dog seems to be throwing some pretty decent stuff in all kinds of different directions. And the field champion from this hunt is Tomahawk's JP, and that dog's out of Broadway's JP, and Tomahawk's Victory from Tomahawk Foxpen Kennels. The one we don't normally get to see a whole lot of, the Trig Nationals at Foxtail. The best mouth was JCC's Wildman Roscoe. Dogs out of Traffic Circle Blue and Traffic Circle Dixie from Jeff Van Camp. The classiest hound combination dual and field champion is Traffic Circle's Beauty. Dogs out of Traffic Circle Blue and Traffic Circle Emmylou from Brett Robertson. The North Florida FHA also had their hunt this weekend. The best mouth was out of Trib's Smoke. The dog's out of Henderson's Lotto and Tanya's Amy from Paul Tribble. Classiest hound was D&H Buttercream out of D&H Butterbean and D&H Gold Rush, excuse me. The dual champion was D&H Widowmaker. Dogs out of D&H Showtime and Presley's Izzy out of D&H Kennels. And the field champion was Rose Creek Joker out of Champion Wicked Walker Batman and Rose Creek Bonnie from Rose Creek Kennels. Big one day this weekend was the Run for the Rides. The winner of that hunt was BCK's Xena out of Valentine's B and Shawnewick's Brittany from Big Creek Kennels. And last but not least, the Virginia State at Pools this weekend, the Derby class. Best mouth was Crying Fox Big Girl out of T. Jesse Wizard and Anna's Cherry from Field Creek's Kennel. Classiest hound was Humphrey's Chase out of T. Jesse Wizard as well, and Humphrey's Chloe from Bird Mill Kennels. Combination and Derby winner was Cedar Lane Oscar T out of Champion Old School Pungo and Cedar Lane's Boogie T from Cedar Lane Kennels. The all-age class, the best mouth was Flat Creek Turbine out of Champion Bowties Turbo and Bowties Rita from Flat Creek Kennels. Combination winner was Humphrey's Piglet out of Rocky Ridge Alpha and Humphrey's Casey. Then that comes from, or Cassie, I believe is the correct pronunciation. Sorry about that, William. And that dog's out of Bird Mill Kennels. Classiest hound and field champion was Atkins Dorothy out of Silver Bullet's Big Stick and Champion Atkins Runt Runt from Silver Bullet Kennels. So congratulations to all the winners from this weekend, guys. I want to thank y'all all so much for listening and bearing with me on these episodes where I'm by myself. I know it's not quite the entertainment as it is with a guest, but we're going to work on it. I'm trying my damnedest, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, guys. So, all right, everybody. Thank y'all so much for listening. We'll be back at it again next week for another preview of the championship hunt. And like always, guys, happy hunting.